Hi, we're Robyn and Henry, and we're a London-based freelance creative team. We met at advertising school last year. We did a few placements, and then we decided to go freelance in November.
Today we're going to mostly talk about traditional ad roles and why we're not sure whether they're suited to the modern industry. And we're also going to talk a bit about how things like diversity and valuing yourself really helps collaboration.
We're Robyn and Henry, so we're a freelance creative team in the advertising industry. We met at advertising school, and then we left and we went and did some placements, and then quickly got sick of the placement rounds, and we went freelance in October, November. We've worked for loads of different agencies. Freelance lets you be really free, strangely enough. We worked at loads of different agencies on lots of different brands. Thank you. Lots of different brands. There we go, thanks. Yeah, loads of different brands. So we've worked on Sky, Nestle, God, what else have we done? Pop Chips. And we're here today to talk about why we think that the traditional model for creative teams in advertising could possibly be reimagined.
So the industry has pretty much always used the same style of teams right from the beginning. The copywriter, art director split. There's going to be a lot of GIFs, by the way. I hope that's all right with everyone. But what's interesting is we've always used this same team system, but everything else has changed. So, for example, we've had social media, we've had the rise of digital, we've had the internet itself. That's changed the face of the entire industry, but it hasn't done anything to change the way we fundamentally work together as a team.
So we're wondering if this is the best we can do. No, is our answer. We do think there's a different way of doing things, and it's what we're doing at the moment. So we're not a conventional advertising team. Typically you have an art director and a copywriter. The art director does all the visuals, and the copywriter does all the words. And that's how it's been for decades, and it works really well in agencies and a lot of traditional model agencies. It's how they still operate today. But we've been into some traditional agencies and non-traditional agencies and sort of think there might be a different way that we could do things.
So how many people here are in creative teams, would you say, in the ad industry?
Stick
Can you just stick your hand up so we can see?
Okay.
All right, so a fair few of you. You might know this. We experience this a lot, that when we're talking to people outside of the industry, and we explain what we're doing, how we work as a team, they think it's really weird. They think the way we work as a team is bizarre. And we've given some of the reactions that we commonly get.
So the most common one is, what is all that about? We go to job interviews together, we have a joint website, we do everything together. It's quite weird. I know, it's really sweet. The most common question we get is, are you guys like together? Are you a thing? A lot of people, including creative directors, sort of sit around and hope and watch and wait to see if we are. But in fact, we're not. We're not. So we're wondering... No. So we're wondering if there's the right answer, if there's a right answer to what form creative teams should take.
So when we were at ad school, one of the dean of the school gave us this bit of advice, which was always to try and be in a childlike state of mind, because children are the ultimate creatives. That's not about us, that's about kids. So we thought we'd come up with a test and give children these classic advertising roles to see whether it helped them or hindered them.
So for 2 hours, we hired Henry's little brother and sister, Luca and Lola, who are 8 and 5, and we gave them a brief. The brief was to create one poster, classic, the traditional advertising request, create a poster. You've got to work in a team, and the one rule is don't you dare disobey conventional advertising. But just have fun with it. That's what everyone says, isn't it? Just have fun, guys. Just play around. That's what happened.
All right, guys, what we're going to get you to do is make us a poster. All right, guys, what we're going to get you to do is make us a poster. Right. Luca's going to be drawing all the pictures, and Lola's going to be writing all the words. Lola, you writing, you drawing? Lola, you writing, you drawing? Luca, it looks like you're writing there. Are you writing?
Yeah.
That's your job.
Yeah.
No, you're only allowed to draw. Are you still writing?
Yeah.
No, you're only allowed to draw.
That's all.
Lola, that's drawing. That's not how we do things in this advertising industry, is it? We know that we're in an advertising agency and only one of you can write and only one of you can draw. But this is the way we do things, isn't it? One of us writes and one of us... You did. Lola, did you prefer the writing or the drawing? Both.
So that was a really nice video of us being mean to some kids. And we managed to make the most creative people in the world less creative by giving them distinct roles and not letting them do exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, and we think it's these roles that sort of inhibit the natural creative side of us. And that's something that we've taken as a team and tried to change.
So our spin on things is we both do the words and we both do the pictures. We go to a lot of agencies and they go, oh, you're one of those teams. You're one of those teams. We are. And we collaborate right from the start, right through to the end. So we'll start off when we get given a brief, when someone comes in. We'll crack open a Google document and we essentially brain dump into that Google Doc. And then we come back together again, sort of go through it, and then we'll bounce ideas off each other. And go from there. And it sort of goes like that all the way through, right from the concept to the execution when we actually deliver a project.
Yeah, so the key is collaboration from start to the finish, because what we see a lot of is that a lot of teams start off with the concept collaborating really well, but then as soon as they get into the executions, they start drifting off to what they think are their sort of preferred roles. But we're not sure if this is the best way to work. We like to think that doing everything together the whole way through tends to make the final product better.
The way we like to think of it is skills over roles. So everyone has loads of different skills that they can bring to the table and they can bring to the mix in whatever partnership they're in. It's the same within agencies. Everyone's different. So we think roles limit you and skills set you free.
So because roles are sort of define you and they make you self-define yourself. So if you're a copywriter, you might think, oh, well, I'm not going to touch that art. I'm the copywriter, not my job, staying away from it. And that's really limiting because you will be able to do some art. There will be bits of your knowledge about art that will be useful no matter what. So it's important, we think, to try and stay away from these limiting roles.
So when we go out into the industry, it's really difficult because we can't say, oh, you know, he's the copywriter and I'm the art director. We have to say we're creatives, which sounds so wanky. You really don't want to say, I'm a creative. That comes with a certain amount of stigma attached to it. So if anyone has any ideas of what we could actually call ourselves, we'd like new job titles, please. So if you want to tweet us your suggestions, so we don't have to go into agencies anymore and go, we're creatives, we'd really appreciate it.
So how does this work every day? Because we obviously work a lot together and doing everything together can get quite intense. But at the same time, it means that all the good things that happen to us, we get to share and enjoy and celebrate together. And this is something that you don't normally get in the typical copywriter, art director role. Because what will happen is, there might be a great piece of copy and then the copywriter gets the big reward and the art director sort of goes, oh, well, I didn't have anything to do with that. But working with it together, we always get the benefit if it goes well.
And when you do hit a low point, occasionally, you're both really negative, but all then it takes is for one person to be slightly positive and then it completely lifts it for everyone else. Something we've noticed in industry, particularly when we started out, we were going on crits, you get bitter or you can get better. You'll go into a crit and your work will be pulled apart, rightly so. There are people in one camp who completely destroy what you've done and they're completely negative and don't actually give you any feedback that's helpful. Then another bunch of people will be really positive and show you how to really push yourself creatively. So that's something that we try and carry through whenever we're working together.
The other thing that we really like is disagreeing with each other a lot. And even this, we try to do what we call disagree together. So because when you disagree, that's where you come up with sort of the spark of creativity. But if you separate yourselves, then someone's always going to be in charge. Someone's always going to win. So if the disagreement's about what the copy should be, a copywriter will say, well, I'm the copywriter, I know what's best. Whereas if you do this together the whole way through, then you have to empathise with each other's perspective, and then agree together in the end, which makes the solution much more natural.
takes quite a long time to get through it sometimes. We argue for days, but then we eventually get to something that we're really proud of, and it's a lot stronger. Yeah, so we disagree together, then find a solution.
So collaboration isn't for clones, and what we're getting at here is that diversity and collaboration are intrinsically linked. And that's because basically the more skills you have that you can bring to the table, the better. And the broad range of skills is really important. So for example, the 3% conference, all over their website, they plaster up creativity and diversity equals profitability. And that's exactly what this is. It's a business solution. It's much more than just an ethical issue. I mean, that side of it is extremely important. But this is just good business as well.
And moving on, you've got a lot to give. So what we're really excited by, I'll just go back a slide. What we're really excited by is being able to help people all the way through our careers. So we've never actually had any doors to knock on. When we went into the industry, every door was open to us. So as I'm sure you can see, we are both white, able-bodied. That's obviously not the only thing, but we don't really face any obstacles. And there are people who have been knocking on the doors of the industry for decades and they're not open. So something that we really care about working together is once we get through a door, is keeping that door open for other people and helping people in our industry. Because there's far too much talk in our industry, as I'm sure you know, especially from the top. People who talk about diversity, lots of leaders talking about diversity in opinion pieces and then not doing anything about it. So if you look at the creative work that's actually coming out of it, this was Toyota for the Super Bowl on Sunday. If you want your work to resonate with people outside, resonate with your target audience, you really need to make sure that the people in your agency are representative of the society outside. So that's something that, we just wanted to highlight and say that, we keep in mind when we're picking an agency as well. Don't be afraid of going in and saying, actually, what are your, what's the diversity like in your agency? What are your policies? Have the talk about it. So this is where we think collaboration between seniors and juniors could be really exciting and really valuable. Seniors, we think, could work with juniors. They always talk about solutions at grassroots. We think we could all work together to really push for that change. A lot of panels somehow seem to have seniors talking to other seniors about juniors, and you rarely see any juniors on that panel. So we think that that's something that really should happen. A meeting in the middle, sort of like a reverse mentorship. And a network is a force. So what we've particularly learned over the past 6 months is we've got much further in terms of collaboration with lots of different people simply by using social media. So Twitter particularly, you essentially cut out all the middlemen. So advertising agencies, for example, you can go and meet the people you actually want to meet, get in touch with them, and you can immediately just go and create something amazing.
Another big driving force behind collaboration is finding what you're passionate about. So that works individually at the start, because if you can find out what you're passionate about, we like to think of passion as being a bit infectious, so that if someone recognises that you're fired up, it will immediately make them a bit fired up as well. So to keep those things that you are passionate about, keep them in your head, and then the rest of the team will be inspired as well. But it also works when you're passionate about something collectively in a group, because as a group, you're all going to have separate skills, and if you can put those separate skills into one place, then that's where collaboration really shines.
So it's something we've been working on, I think since September now, is a side project, and that really brings together all the things that we're both passionate about, and we're really excited about it. So Henry is particularly interested in technology. I've written a lot in the media about, or trade press, about diversity and inclusion, female ambition, and the things that I really care about. So it's really exciting that we've been able to pull those things together and create a side project, which we're launching at the end of February, that we're really excited about. So we've been working with an organisation called Token Man. I don't know how many people here know of Token Man. All go and look it up, it's brilliant. We've been working with Daniele Fiandaca, who co-founded it. And it's an organisation that aims to better enable men to champion women and drive gender diversity in the workplace. So we've been working with him, and we've also been working with analog folk who are helping us with the developmental side of what we're building. And that couldn't have happened without, going off to events, meeting people, going on Twitter.
It's a good example of how lots of people all sharing the same passion, but all having very different skills. I mean, Analog Folk are an incredible digital agency. They're extremely techy and really know what they're doing, whereas we don't know what we're doing on the tech side anywhere near as much as them. So having those skills from that side that we can then put with skills from our side that they might not have really makes a big difference in trying to create something new.
Collaboration isn't cheap labour, so we just wanted to highlight something quickly. The difference between doing a passion project, or doing a side project, which you probably shouldn't get paid for, and then someone asking you if you want to collaborate and then not actually paying you any money for it. We've learnt that early on, actually, at the very end of our advertising course. So yeah, if it feels like work, you should be getting paid. Another thing we've learnt is to really understand your value and think about what you bring not only as an individual to any creative partnership, but also to advertising agencies. So the most recent agency we were in, it was brilliant because the ECD sat us down and said, we actually really need you guys because I don't have a clue what's going on social media. You've grown up with this stuff and we really need it. So it's that, I guess, breaking down that taboo of leaders also needing juniors and juniors needing them. So employers and employees working together.
So can we stretch collaboration? We just wanted to talk a bit about where we think collaboration can be improved and where it can go in the future. So first off, all levels. We've sort of touched on this before, but we love the idea of mentorship in the industry. We think it's really powerful and really strong. But one thing that we'd really like to see is collaboration rather than mentorship. So we want to see ECDs coming all the way down to almost sort of like placement level junior teams, and going down with a attitude of I'm going to learn from you, not that I'm going to teach you. So you're both learning and teaching each other, and we think that could be really powerful for the industry. Secondly, all skills. So we think it's really important that every department in an agency is equal in the fact that they all have skills that will be applicable. So we like it best when a designer can stick their hand up and say, oh, I've had a great idea, run to the creative department and shout about it. But in a lot of agencies, you just don't get that. They're not comfortable doing that, and that's something that we need to improve.
As we said earlier, all backgrounds, it really is on all of us to help push that change. And all industries, we'd really love to see more collaboration. We'd love to be, part of that collaboration across different industries. So a final few thoughts before we leave you.
Falling behind is the same as falling off a cliff. So there's a lot of worry at the moment that the world's going so fast that it's impossible now to keep up with everything. But this is where collaboration can really come in handy, because you're not going to be able to learn everything as it comes out. But you'll be able to learn something and someone else will be able to learn something. So if you share that knowledge together, then you're always going to be able to keep up together. And this is mostly for juniors. It's risky not to take risks. At the moment, this is the perfect time to start experimenting. You're never going to regret taking that risk in the future, because you will have time to adapt and turn back if it doesn't work. But just right now, take those risks.
The world has enough critics. So as we said earlier about going on crits and people ripping your work apart, always be positive. So that's something we always try and do, is always be positive. And if you're met with a negative situation, that positivity will really lift you out of it and you will always come out on top. Just because it's not happening now doesn't mean it never will. So that's really setting a goal and being relentless in meeting your goals. That's something that we work towards. So we set smaller goals and then we set a bigger goal right for the end. Just keep going. And being the change you want to see. Really important, I guess, for all levels. It doesn't matter who you are, what level you are, how many acronyms you have in your title. You can make change if you want to.
And that's it, really. Thank you very much for listening. Come have a chat with us later.
Thank you.